Heya Cryptozens, welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nikodemus and we do crypto news analysis nightly at 10 p.m. And keep in mind, none of this should be considered financial advice. And it's Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. So how's your week going so far? Probably not as good as eToro, because eToro now has permission to offer crypto services in New York. This is a big deal for the social investing and trading platform, because we're talking about New York. It's very difficult to get a license there. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, eToro made this announcement on Tuesday. The New York State Department of Financial Services approved eToro's BIT license. eToro also got a money transmitter license. These licenses will let people in New York use eToro's platform. Users will be able to access eToro's tools and trade stocks, crypto, and options. I say will be able to because the platform isn't up and running for them just yet. The New York Department of Financial Services oversees 33 entities with BIT licenses. This includes eToro. They started BIT licenses in 2015. Now, some people in the crypto industry say that the regulators' rules are too strict. Compliance costs are too high. Some companies wait a long time to get a BIT license. CoinCafe waited over 4 years to get one. They applied for it in August 2015 and finally got it in 2019. Before them, PayPal waited 2 years to get a BIT license. They finally got theirs in June of 2022. Yoni Asa is the founder and CEO of eToro. He said that getting the licenses is a big step for the company because, for sure, eToro wants to grow more in the U.S. I say more because eToro is already in the U.S. They have eToro USA Securities, that's a broker-dealer. They also have eToro USA LLC, which is registered with FinCEN. eToro doesn't know when their New York platform will be ready, but they'll let people know when it is. Charles Cascarilla is the CEO of Paxos, and he said that the company is talking to the SEC. And he said the discussion is being constructive. They talked over the weekend about Paxos and their stablecoins, because recently Paxos got a Wells notice from the SEC. The SEC uses a Wells notice to make allegations about potential violations of securities law, which means the SEC may well end up suing after sending a Wells notice. This Wells notice the SEC gave to Paxos was about Binance USD. Now, USDP, which is Paxos' own stablecoin, is not part of the notice. So the end result? So far, Paxos will stop issuing BUSD. The New York Department of Financial Services regulates Paxos. They're the same regulators we were talking about just a moment ago about eToro. They also gave Paxos notice. Now, BUSD was launched in 2019. Cascarilla wrote that the market has changed a lot since then. Paxos says that they have new strategic priorities and that their relationship with Binance no longer aligns with those priorities. Paxos announced on Monday that they will end the relationship. Paxos stopped issuing BUSD even though the company has helped with over $2.8 billion in BUSD redemptions. There were no major market problems during those redemptions. Now, make no mistake, the SEC is coming after the crypto companies. They seem to think that all crypto companies are in violation of federal securities law. Now, recently, the SEC did a few things. They settled with Kraken about staking services. They settled with Paul Pierce for not disclosing payment to promote a token. They sued Gemini. They sued Genesis. They sued Terraform Labs. Now, Paxos, they want to clear things up, so they're working with the regulators. They want to publish their clearing agency application, and they're working with the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency to launch a national trust. They're expanding their Singapore products with the Singapore Monetary Authority Service. The MAS approved Paxos as a Singaporean payment service provider last year. The Central Bank of Nigeria wants to create a better digital currency. They've tried before, but it didn't work well. So now they're asking a New York tech company to help improve their chances. The Central Bank of Nigeria has been working on a digital currency called the e-Naira. They are still working on it, but this time they want help from other technology companies. Their central bank is talking to these companies because they need help managing the e-Naira. Now, people in the know have said that the Nigerian Financial Authority has been in talks with a New York technology company called R3. and they want to make new software for the e-Naira. This software will let the central bank control the e-Naira project completely. The e-Naira project started in 2021, but now they're bringing on a new partner. Now, they won't take over immediately, but they will help the central bank control the project. Nigeria has already launched their digital fiat, but it hasn't gone well. In fact, some reports said that the e-Naira project was in trouble because only 0.5% of Nigerians have even used it. But in January, a Nigerian innovator made the first active Bitcoin Lightning node. The government also said that it would create rules around stablecoins and initial coin offerings, which is interesting that they're talking about pursuing both a central bank digital currency, which they will control, as well as setting up rules for stablecoins, which they presumably will not control. Now, Nigeria is one of the many countries looking into a CBDC. Russia and Japan are also doing this. They plan to launch their own currencies by summer. But some people don't like them. Now, I call those people reasonably intelligent. They think that they're surveillance tools. These people in Nigeria right now are protesting the government's digital fiat. A British man has been detained by Interpol in Moscow. The United States Department of Justice has charged him with breaking sanctions on North Korea. Christopher Ems, the man in question, was released by Saudi authorities before due to a lack of evidence. Local media reported that Christopher Ems was arrested in Moscow on February 21st based on an Interpol red notice. Ems, a 31-year-old British citizen, was staying at a hostel when he was detained. He is accused of providing instructions to North Korea on how to use blockchain and cryptocurrency to evade sanctions and to launder money. Now, Ems allegedly planned and organized the 2019 Pyongyang Blockchain and Cryptocurrency Conference with Spanish national Alejandro Cao de Beños. Virgil Griffith is a former Ethereum developer, and he was the third participant in the conspiracy. The Federal Bureau of Investigation arrested him in November of 2019. Now, he's already pled guilty, and in fact has already received a 63-month prison sentence. Ems, on the other hand, potentially has it much worse. He's facing up to 20 years in prison for conspiring to violate the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Rhoda Sterling founded Due Process International. They defend human rights against international enforcement agencies. Now, she's claiming that there was no strong evidence against Ems. According to Sterling, Ems did nothing wrong and did not provide any information to North Korea that couldn't be found on Google. In September of 2022, Saudi Arabia rejected the American extradition request for Ems due to a lack of legal basis. After an 8-month travel ban, Ems was released and immediately left the country for Russia, which is really surprising to me that despite being targeted by the DOJ's efforts specifically to enforce financial sanctions in the crypto sector, the Russian officials decided to assist their American counterparts anyway. A new DApp Radar report states that in January of 2023, nearly half of all blockchain activity came from gamers. It's like 48%. In January, top gaming tokens increased their market caps by 122% on average. Gala's digital utility token, Gala, grew by 218%. This report says that the interest in gaming tokens has increased because of buzz in the industry. Now, recently, Gala Games made news for buying a mobile gaming studio with $20 million in assets and 15 games. Sarah Gergelis is a blockchain analyst at DApp Radar. She said that based on on-chain metrics from the past 2 years, blockchain gaming will continue to be significant. In fact, she thinks that blockchain gaming is already a part of the traditional industry. It's her position that as blockchain gains more traction, Web3 games will become the mainstream. The Wax blockchain has the most gaming activity, with 331,000 unique active wallets. The top 3 blockchain gaming ecosystems had more gaming protocols from the end of 2022 to the beginning of 2023, except for the Binance chain. The beginning of 2023 saw increased activity. Now, many people believe that this is blockchain gaming's building year, because it seems like, right now, the industry is focused on making more powerful, high-quality games. Gergelis said that the investment in blockchain gaming is increasing a lot. with a total investment of $7.6 billion in 2022. That's up 105% from 2021. Investments in blockchain gaming were more than $156 million in January of this year alone. The report also showed that metaverse is playing a role in the increase in blockchain gaming activity. In January, trading volume for virtual world-related games was $44.5 million. That is a 114% increase from the previous month. Now, sales did decrease by 19%. The overall growth is largely thanks to the Sandbox and Decentraland. The trading volume for the Sandbox increased by 114%, and for Decentraland, that number was 83%. DappRadar's 2022 report showed that Web3 gaming made up nearly half of all blockchain transactions that year. Earlier this week, the creator of Litecoin said that a software engineer from Australia forked the Ordinals protocol to Litecoin. This engineer's name is Anthony Guerrera. Guerrera used his coding skills to create the fork and received a tidy monetary bounty for doing so. This allowed for NFT-like assets to be used on Litecoin, much like they're used on Bitcoin. Guerrera posted his work on GitHub on February 18th. A person on Twitter named Indigo Nakamoto offered a reward of 5 Litecoin to anybody who could successfully create this fork. That reward increased to 22 Litecoin, or about $2,000. Guerrera saw this and decided to go to work. Guerrera knew it was possible because Litecoin has both Taproot and SegWit. Now, Taproot and SegWit are updates to the Bitcoin protocol that improved the network's privacy and efficiency. They also allowed for inscriptions to be added to Satoshis. Now, these inscriptions are similar to NFTs. Inscribing an image on the blockchain can be expensive if it's Bitcoin. However, Guerrera said that inscribing a Litoshi, the Litecoin equivalent of a Satoshi, only costs about 2 cents. Bitcoin users are concerned about the amount of block space that ordinals take up on the network because they are larger than transactions. Guerrera thinks that this won't be as big an issue on Litecoin because it has a larger block size. And in fact, that could still happen. Now, Guerrera decided to make the fork anyway, saying that someone was going to do it eventually. It only took him about a week because the changes were so simple. He updated the ordinals code to work with the Litecoin network inputs instead of the Bitcoin network inputs. The fork had to account for differences between the blockchains, such as the total possible number of coins. On February 19th, Guerrera tweeted that he had inscribed the first Litecoin ordinal. He added the Mimblewimble white paper to the blockchain in inscription number 0. This comes after the MWeb upgrade in May of 2022. That allowed Litecoin users to opt in to confidential transactions and blockchain improvements. These improvements help reduce excess and unnecessary transaction data. Guerrera said that he dedicated the first inscription to the Mimblewimble white paper to raise awareness that Litecoin now has a privacy sidechain. He is a fan of the technology and thinks that privacy is important on public ledgers. Guerrera plans to keep contributing to the forked protocol and port updates from the original ordinals. However, he eventually wants to hand over the project because he doesn't want it to take up too much of his time. The man has other things he wants to focus on. Consensus bought How. Now, How is a platform for managing blockchain data. It helps users create notifications for trading, voting, and taxes. Consensus gains 10 new employees and 40-plus APIs for blockchain listening and signals, which they will add to Infura. Infura is a connectivity layer for Web3 that's getting easier to use as the decentralized internet grows. According to E.G. Galano, co-founder of Infura, it's a good time to sell tools needed to build the new internet. He noticed new types of builders who want low or no-code tools, but with similar functions to those of developers. Now, Galano said that experienced developers understand how various tokens are being used since they can access raw blockchain data and analyze it. Less experienced developers may only use front-end tools like Etherscan. Galano said that users prefer to receive notifications when something happens on the blockchain, especially for NFTs and DeFi protocols that they follow. This feature is going to be very popular with the users. Deutsche Bank Singapore and Memento Blockchain have finished the test phase for Project Dama. Now, this project helps with digital fund management for investing in tokenized securities, which means now asset managers can make a digital fund with a unique token and offer a direct way for users to buy digital assets with fiat money. Institutional investors can buy into the fund by creating tokens or using a decentralized exchange aggregator or built-in marketplace. Deutsche Bank and Memento Blockchain built a DeFi platform on Ethereum and a unique soul-bound token. Now, with that token, developers can verify wallet owners and give access to investment opportunities, all without asking for personal information every time. A trust anchor stores know your customer checks and other documents off-chain. The soul-bound token can limit access to products or services that don't match a user's risk tolerance or experience. Institutional investors can invest in a fund by giving collateral as well as minting tokenized shares of the digital investment fund. Tokenized shares can be exchanged on the built-in digital marketplace for digital assets like stablecoins. Asset managers can create tokenized funds on Ethereum testnets with various strategies like DeFi staking through one window. Deutsche Bank and Memento Blockchain used MetaMask for asset security in their project. Now, MetaMask is the go-to digital wallet for transferring digital assets on the platform. Institutional investors need a soul-bound token and KYC in their MetaMask wallet to access decentralized applications. Deutsche Bank is considering using Project Dama in Singapore, where there are 1,100 registered fund managers with $3.36 trillion in assets under management. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. If you enjoyed tonight's show, then please like, follow, subscribe, leave a rating or review. And in the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow night.